What's happening now? I see more people coming in now.
Yeah, we have nine attendees either online or on the phone. Aside from the consultants. And that's about who I only had 11 confirmed attendees for the meeting, so, and that was including us. So I think we might have everybody at this point.
All right. All right, we're already close to 10 minutes after the hour, so I'd like to go ahead and begin the meeting. We got a heavy agenda to go through. This is Jeff Murphy speaking. Before we turn over to the Deputy Supervisor, why doesn't everybody introduce themselves for the record? Lorianne, why don't you go ahead and share the microphone and have everybody identify themselves.
Sure. So I'm Lorianne DeFalco, Project Manager with AKRF.
This is Bob White. I'm the principal at AKRF in charge. And sorry, I'm in the office. I didn't realize it didn't have a video component here, so I'm just going to be audio only.
Okay.
This is James.
Oh, go ahead, James.
Sorry, James Riggard, Deputy Project Manager at AKRF.
And Steve Hawley, coordinating outreach activities from AKRF.
This is Ray DeBias with LK McLean Associates.
Vin Corrado from LK McLean.
Andy Mitchell at Peconic Bay Medical Center.
Mitch Pally, Long Island Builders Institute.
Mark Harbner, we can't hear you if you're speaking. Mark, Mark, you got to turn your speaker on.
Hello.
There you go. Mark, can you hear us now? Mark, you still can't hear you.
Hi, Jeff. This is Sid Bale. I'm sorry, I had trouble getting online, so I'll just have to go by phone.
Okay. Mark Harbner, can you say anything? Just so we still cannot hear you, Mark. Can you hear us? All right.
I think he hears us. He just can't hear. He can't speak.
Right. Okay.
For us to hear.
Rob you put the two of us together, or one person.
Rob Carpenter, Long Island Farm Bureau.
Yep.
Ike Israel, Richmond Realty.
Hi, Ike.
Hi.
I see Mitch Pally down the lower left. Can you hear us, Mark?
Can you hear me? Mitch Pally, Long Island Builders.
Yes, we got you, Mitch.
Okay, anybody else on there, Lorianne?
Frank Mancini from the Water District is on.
Yep, I see Frank. Yep.
I just admitted Connie. Connie, can you hear us?
Connie, can you hear us?
She's on mute.
Connie, make sure you turn your microphone on. Connie, are you there?
Used to be a giant running back. Yeah, right.
We're up here. We have Devin Higgins, Supervisor, Tim Hubbard, and Don Thomas. So Connie, are you there yet? Mark, can you talk?
Yeah, can we try it again?
Yep, now we can hear you.
All right, dual monitor to kill me again. Thank you.
All right, great. Connie, here. Unable to video or unmute. Connie, we see your name, but we do not hear or see you.
Maybe she should just log out and come back in.
Connie, if you can hear us, just unlog, disconnect, and then join back in again. Lorianne should be able to get. Oh, she can push a button.
Proper.
Prompter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lorianne, see if you can prompt Connie to like to unlog herself and then come back in again if you could. That help with Mark. Lorianne, is Connie still trying to log in?
She looks like she's in the meeting, but I don't see her or hear her.
It indicates she's muted if you look at the screen.
Yeah. If you
Right,
hear,
but I didn't see her. Yeah, everyone should have access, be able to unmute or unmute themselves. I can only mute somebody, not unmute.
we're gonna text her on an offline and then let her know what she needs to do. So while we're waiting for that, why don't we go ahead and get started because we do have a heavy agenda ahead of us. When do we start off? What do you want to do?
So I'm Devin Higgins, Deputy Supervisor. Once again, I just want to thank everybody on behalf of the supervisor for being here today. I'm anxious to get on the agenda and start to discuss hopefully some feedback we've gotten from the various meetings that have taken place so far. I know, Jeff, we're going to start to run the survey results as those results trickle in. And first and foremost, and I guess the overarching goal here is to try to get right what we may have gotten wrong, right, originally with the most recent comp plan. So we're anxious to continue to move this ball down the football field, although I think there is some frustration it hasn't gone faster to date. We thank you all for being here, and we're anxious to get started. Thank you.
All right, everybody, we have not met. Before I begin, I'm going to give just a little speech. This meeting is being recorded by AKRF, and minutes are being taken. Once the minutes are completed, we'll circulate them to each one of you to make sure we got everything right. And once that's been done, we're going to post the. A lot has happened since the last February. First and foremost, we had to prepare a new contract. The contract was going to expire in the summertime. We needed a timeline that had already lapsed. We wanted to go in a new direction in terms of how we interact with the community. So we had to prepare a new contract, and that took some time. I apologize for that, but it was much needed. Second thing is, as I mentioned, we wanted a lot more community involvement than what was previously envisioned. And already, I'm sure most of you have, we have a new website for the comprehensive plan. What we had earlier version was what I was posting on the town website, which was nothing more than a series of PDFs, which was not did not allow the community to interact with the process. Okay, guys, they can hear us. We're in one microphone. Okay, one thing that would be helpful, Lorianne, if you could ask everybody if you can mute themselves until you wave your hand, and then Lorianne will allow you to come into the discussion. It will just help with the technology and the volume quality. We created a new comprehensive plan website. You go to the town website and you click on what's happening in the town, and you'll see the little icon for the comp plan update. You click on that and it takes you right to the comp plan page. And it is, I think it's a very cool and interactive website, far superior than I've seen any other town on Long Island I've seen in the last 20 years. I'm going to give a lot of credit to Dawn Thomas and her effort with the pattern book on that, because UDA Barry Long, they had this interactive website. I thought it was really cool for the downtown area. And I said, if we can do it for the downtown area, why not for the entire town? So we've done that. There's a whole bunch of different ways for the community to interact and be a participant throughout the comprehensive plan process. The website consists of the community survey. That is up and operating as we speak. So approximately 25 questions. It was originally intended to be completed or ended in the beginning of November. Due to the low survey response, we've got a little more than 400 responses to date. We decided to extend that through mid-December. That also goes along with the interactive maps. The interactive map is a really cool survey, interactive tool. You go to that, you click on your hamlet that you're interested in. You can click on a comment section on the icon in the area of interest. You can click on something that you like. You click on something you don't like. If you want to comment about a certain area or subject about a particular hamlet, you click on that icon and you type in whatever your comments you have. And those comments are being recorded and included in the official responses and comments throughout the process. That's going to end also in mid-December as well. We needed time for the consultants to gather all the public input and to prepare a summary and responses to them. In addition to those two means of public interaction, we have a public comment section to the website. So if you just have a general question about, not about the survey, not about any substantive topic, but say you just have a general question, you can post your comments on the website, and that's being monitored by the consultant team. At this point, we also have posting all of our documents on the website. So we have essential locations for all the documents that we're talking about, such as the housing analysis, the community summary meetings. Those are all being posted on the website. So it's one central place that people can find all the information that's being talked about with the comprehensive plan. The next means of public interaction, we just completed 4 hamlet meetings, live and virtual. The first one was in the east half of the town with Northville, Akabog, Jamesport, and Laurel. We had some technical difficulties with the Zoom function on that, but we fixed those very quickly. And so by the time the second meeting came around, the Zoom function worked beautifully. The other meetings were broken down by the different hamlets. We have 11 different hamlets in the town, and we had the 4 different meetings to make sure that everybody could have an opportunity to speak about their specific hamlet. This meeting went very well. I'd always wish as a planner that we always get more input, but we did get some significant comments, and they were, I thought the meetings went as well as they could have. The summary of those meetings, we're going to talk about those today. In addition, the PowerPoint presentations that were displayed at those meetings, those are posted on our website. In addition, Channel 22 recorded the meetings. So if you wanted to watch those community meetings, we are posting those on the website as well. Right now, we only have the first one online. I think we may have the second one already, and the third and fourth are going to be posted on the line with probably by the end of this week. So I think we've done a Herculean effort to get that up and going, because we had to start from scratch at the beginning of summer to figure out how to use this tool, get it up and operating, fix all the glitches with it, and now it's working beautifully. I highly recommend that if you haven't already, take a look at that website. I think it's a really good way for the town to interact with the community. Third thing, the timeline. Based upon the new contract, we are now entering into the winter part of the contract and the process. Right now, we just completed the 4 community meetings. We're having our meeting today to update you on where we are. We expect that we're going to be having a lot more meetings with you in the next few months. The next step that we're going to be doing is we have the 5 topic meetings coming up relative to the different subject areas. That includes transportation, housing, Route 58 redevelopment, downtown, and the environment and farmland preservation. So we've got a lot. We're trying to schedule those meetings. I have to tell you, everyone in this group, just trying to schedule these meetings takes a lot of effort. It took about 2 months just to schedule the 4 community meetings, and it's taking about that line just to try to get everybody together for the 5 topic meetings that are coming up. Let me just.
Hey, Jeff?
Yes.
This is Sid Bale. I'm sorry, I'm just on the phone.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt everything here, but if I want to ask questions later on, I have no other way than to interrupt. You understand that? Yeah. Question here. You say you have 400 responses to date, and you're extending the response period through mid-December. What makes you think we're going to get many more responses?
Great question. It's being advertised on the website, it's being advertised on our Facebook. The announcements are being made at every.
What about the direct mailing to residents?
That would be one, very, very costly. Two, I don't know how much.
Because we keep doing the same thing, and you've got a really not very impressive response rate. I'm not blaming you per se.
Yeah,
you know?
I understand. I hate to say it, it has a lot to do with public interest on the topic matter. For example, with the marijuana survey,
right?
We got over 1,000
So
responses.
you're saying we have to make it sexier? What?
Hey, planning is not very. Oh, since you work. I don't think a lot of people understand what the importance of what we're doing, and therefore they kind of look at that. And I think it's the most important thing going on in the town. But I'm a planner, so what do I know?
Right.
If you have any ideas, Sid, other than the direct mail, I just don't think direct mail often yields very much. People are interested in it. They certainly know about it. There's no way you can not know that we're going through this effort. If you or any of the other civic leaders can, do an email blast to your members of your organization.
Right.
Or Facebook, if they have a civic Facebook, they can circulate
or through your Facebook page if you have one, anything like that you guys can help us out with, that would be really appreciated.
Right. Yeah, we've been trying.
I would say, if we're following other surveys, there might be a little bit of, folks might be not survey fatigue per se, but if they've already completed some other surveys over the past few months and we're sort of next in line, maybe a little more time would help, help the community get a little more time to sort of fill in the survey, get a little more acknowledgement on what the purpose of the survey is. So that's my feeling on it as well. So hopefully the time will facilitate some additional outreach, will facilitate some response.
It's Steve Hawley too. I'll also comment that a number of people that attended the meetings in person took a number of surveys and took extra flyers back to give to friends in their communities to encourage them to either go online or fill out a survey and turn it in later. So we know that there are folks out there that are trying to get some of their friends to do this too.
Yep. And Mark,
but 400 surveys is bupkis.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to support Sid's offer to go back to the civics on this. I know it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, and it is not sexy unless we're giving out jar openers with every survey that goes out. And I know that direct mail, and I had suggested this early on, Jeff, that the direct mail be done. I think bread might have been 39 cents a loaf when we were doing direct mail at $1. So those are probably a lot more expensive at this point. Although maybe a smattering of 1,000 and not 10,000 to all the households, but maybe 500 or 1,000 might be a good shot. But we can talk about the costs on that and the return. I know from experience that direct mail brings back between 1 or 2 or 3% return rates, which isn't a lot. So for 1,000 at $2, you're going to get 30 responses, and it's going to be $7 a piece. So I'm going to support you both in this, that it is very expensive, but that we've got the tools to go back. I was on the Wading River Facebook site today, and they've got 10,000 followers. So I think we should probably expand that to the other civics, and we'd be glad to do that.
Okay. All right. Let's keep moving on with the agenda. The last thing I want to do before we turn over to Lorianne, Andrew Mitchell sent around a very good email about the vision of what we're doing in the comprehensive plan. and you talk about the importance of a strategic plan versus the comprehensive plan. I think one reason why you haven't seen us since February, and I mentioned that we underwent the contract amendment, is we thought that the amendment was too much of just going back to the 2003 plan and just updating it. And yes, that's what a comprehensive plan does. It updates the information, and it updates the policies. It's a report card. What do we accomplish, not accomplish? But I think it can do a lot more than that. And that's what I think Mr. Mitchell was talking about with the importance of a strategic plan. And there's a distinction between the comprehensive plan and the strategic plans. The comprehensive plan is required by New York State law. For every town that has a zoning ordinance, that any action that a town board makes is supposed to be consistent with that comprehensive plan. Strategic plans are not required by New York State law, but so much of what goes into a comprehensive plan is done through a strategic planning process, and especially the visioning. That's a critical part of a comprehensive plan. We don't have the vision yet, and that's where a strategic element of a strategic plan will come into very important play in how we go forward with this effort. Through the community input, through the 5 breakout topic groups, through the background, all those different elements that we're going through right now through the community input process, those are going to help us start formulating a vision as to where we're going to go. But before we know where we're going to go, we have to know where we are. And I apologize if you heard this story before. I'm a man of telling stories. Very short. If you're in a road trip somewhere and you get lost, you stop and you get out and you ask directions on how to get somewhere. Before you know where you're going to go, you have to know where you are. And if you don't know where you are, it doesn't matter what roadmap you have. You're not going to know where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. So right now, we're still figuring out where we are based upon beginning with the 2003 plan and then all the different elements that have led us up to today. And we're still collecting that background data. We're not going to complete that background until we finish the 5 topic groups. At the end of that 5 topic group meetings, we're going to come back, revisit with you. Then we have to go back and take a look at the 2003 master plan, look at all the things that we've achieved, not achieved. At that point, we'll have a pretty good basis as to where we are right now. And I think from that, we need to establish what our vision is. Where does the town want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? What are the goals needed to get us there in the timelines and infrastructure that's going to be needed to get us to adopt that and establish that vision. So right now, I would say that it's kind of premature to know what our vision is today. We have some ideas, and I'm sure that everybody has their own ideas. Some people believe that we should have more farmland preservation. Some people will need more economic development. And this could be a blend of that, because that's what planning is. It's not one side or another. It's a blend, and that's what makes us a successful community. So this town has so many different varied land use elements. It's got the agricultural farmland preservation. You got your retail component. You got your industrial component. You got your commercial component. All those different things, I think, make Riverhead really successful that it is today. And we want to make sure that that balance is maintained as we go forward. So that's just my 2 cents on Andy's comments about the vision for the town.
So Jeff,
And,
Jeff, if I could, just one follow-up question. First off, thank you very much for clarifying that, and I understand completely, and I agree with that. The follow-up question is, does the vision come from this committee? Does the vision come from the town supervisor and the board? Ultimately, once we know where we are, who is the responsible organization for describing the vision for the future?
I'd say it would be the town board through the adoption of this plan.
But with the recommendations and advice of the committee.
Yeah,
The answer is all of the above, Andy,
Yeah.
really. It's the input that everybody's going to make into this plan, and that all will create the final vision of what this plan will be. We know what we want to get to. We just have to get the information to get to that point. And then it's a collective, that answer is a collective of all the information that is gathered throughout this process. So it's not like there's any one person going to say, this is the vision and that's it. the vision's going to be developed through all the information that's picked up through this process.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, let's move on to the next part of the agenda. Lorianne, I'm going to turn it over to you. And we're going to talk about the summaries of the community meetings.
Great. I had shared quite a few summaries with this group. Originally, it was 4 separate comment summaries, one for each of the community meetings that we held. And then we combined those summaries into one master comment summary. And I apologize, I shared 2 versions with you on Friday, I believe. So hopefully you have the version that says V2 at the end. There weren't any major differences. And so I'll share that summary up on the screen. And then James and I will talk you through some of the comments that we heard. So we had about 100 attendees to all 4 meetings combined. By the way, we recorded over 250 individual comments or ideas. We recorded all of the verbal, Zoom, and written comments that were received during the community meeting period, and really up to date. We haven't. This doesn't include any of the survey or the interactive map comments. We'll do that at the end once those close. So hopefully you received the master, comment summary. I'm sort of going backwards, but yeah, we had, it started out with a summary of each individual comment that we heard, categorized by the hamlet or hamlets of concern, the major topic area. We're trying to categorize into the 5 topic areas that we've been talking about that we'll be holding the topic meetings on. So again, that's the Route 58 economic development, TDR farmland preservation. The third one is housing and community facilities. We also have environmental and sustainability, and then finally transportation. So yeah, we've recorded every single idea there, and then we added subcategories as well. We've ranked them in terms of comments that were either town-wide or for each hamlet. Obviously, the vast majority were town-wide comments. We're also seeing that there's a mix of topic areas represented, the largest being the environmental protection sustainability category. I think that's because we heard a lot of comments about water quality in particular. We also have an other category, which includes mainly comments related to outreach, as well as zoning that didn't necessarily find a home into any of the other categories, but there were a lot of comments about zoning. Actually, that's the #1 subcategory that you see here. And I'll actually just turn it over to James if you wanted to add anything else about the comments. We've also illustrated the comments in these charts that you see here.
Yeah, I could add a few notes. So I would say definitely if you haven't had a chance to look at these comments, right, Lorianne, you sent individually, each meeting individually, and then we also sent the master. Is that what we did, right? So I would definitely say to take a look meeting by meeting and take a look through that, because the comments kind of, I'm getting a lot of echo. I don't know if somebody's not on mute.
Without speaking, if you could use your microphone, that would be helpful. Yeah, okay, great. James, go ahead.
So as I was saying, I think it's very beneficial to take a look at you know, each meeting by meeting, that PDF of subset of comments, you know, so the first meeting covered the 4 or 5 hamlets, Aquabog, Northville, South Jamesport, and Laurel, and then look at those, because the comments kind of evolve from each night that we met, and you'll see a lot of reoccurring themes, as Lorianne alluded to. There's the zoning, the public outreach, transportation and safety, infrastructure, whether it be water infrastructure or, water quality, flood protection. You know, those are a lot of reoccurring themes that you'll see night after night. And the same thing. So second night we went through Wading River and Manorville. The third night we went through Wading Hollow and Calverton. And then the final night we did downtown Riverhead and Route 58. And you'll see, as I said, the comments do evolve from meeting to meeting. Whereas, you know, early on, some of the early meetings focused a lot on transportation, safety, water quality. And then as you went towards the Riverhead meetings, a lot of Riverhead, downtown River, Route 58, many of the comments were zoning, but they were also kind of adaptive reuse, filling in vacancies in vacant buildings, businesses, filling in, reusing some of the already existing uses. Improving pedestrian experience in the downtown was a very large comment, not just from walking, but bicycling, public transit. That was a major theme as well. But yeah, Lorianne, I don't know if you had anything else to add. That was a lot of the bulk of the comments. I mean, there's well over 200 comments, probably closer to 300. That you should definitely read through. It doesn't take too much time to read through, but you kind of get a better sense, and it may spark an idea of what you may want to see in this next round of the comp plan, and things to look forward to.
James, it's Bob. I would say, yeah, this would be a good time if anyone on the committee has any questions about the meetings themselves, or what we have discussed, and what Lorianne and James just summarized. That would be great.
Is there any questions about the survey that you've read so far, or the input, or if there's how it's been presented? Is that does it work for all of you? Is there another way? Would you like to see more of a summary, executive summary? What's your feedback on that?
I'd like to see the top 10 list the same, regardless of hamlet, or top 20 if there was something like that. I want to see what most people are talking about.
Lorianne, did you get that?
So the top 10 to 20 comments you'd like to see identified?
The ones that are you're seeing repeated over and over, because those would be really a good starting place, I think.
Start broad and then narrow the focus.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. That would give us direction, focus. That's part of the purpose of this outreach work. So yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
Okay, great.
And this is James again. I'll just also add, some of the comments are repetitive as, town-wide comments, but then some of them are kind of repetitive where they're talking about like improving a pedestrian experience at a specific street. In my mind, that's a common theme, but when we do these, create a top 10, top 20 list, it'll be a broad level saying, improve pedestrian experience throughout the town rather than, specific streets, because, one person may not know one intersection versus another intersection. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fine. I think
Okay.
I'm most interested to hear what people are saying all the time.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we can definitely do that, and we have all the details, so we can just go through our sheet and check which we're seeing duplicated, and present that to you in a top 10 to 20 format, so that I think it's more clear.
Does anybody else have any other comments about the community surveys? If you do outside this meeting, just email us, and we can address it individually as needed. All right, seeing no other hands being raised, let's go on to the next subject on the agenda, and that's our draft affordable housing analysis. It's dated August 3rd of this year, and first and foremost, it is draft stamped. So this is a draft document. This actually came out a little bit premature, earlier than I would have liked to have seen it come out, but Councilwoman Kent asked for it. And so this gives it's a short document, but I gotta tell you the feedback that we're getting on it, whether it's a question, a comment, a criticism, a positive comment, it's a lightning rod. And that's, as a planner, I like that because this is a really important subject in the town. And for as short as the document is, it's generating a lot of feedback. And that, as a planner, we need that. And this is just a taste of all the different other subjects that we're going to be touching on throughout this comp plan process. So it may have been premature, but I think it's a good case or test case on how to go forward with the other subjects as they come forward. So Lorianne, why don't you go ahead and present a summary of your report, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Okay, sure. So I have up on the screen the draft memo dated August 3rd that we presented to the town board and shared with all of you before this meeting. So essentially, this is an inventory of the town's income restricted and other types of housing. We conducted a preliminary analysis of the amount of new designated affordable units that may be needed in the town. This is over the next 10 to 20 years to support the town's existing future workforce and lower income populations. So we determined goals for future affordable housing. These are based on standard industry benchmarks of having 10 to 20% of the town's housing units set aside as affordable. These were also benchmarks used in the town's prior analysis that was shared with us from 2007. And we found that that overall the town is doing very well in providing affordable housing, and is and actually today has nearly 20% of its housing units in income restricted or other non-affordable housing. So based on the 10% goal, the town is already meeting affordable housing needs of the existing future population. However, based on the goal of having 20% of the town's housing units be affordable, we did identify about 300 to 500 new affordable units that may be needed over the next 10 to 20 years. We also determined the affordability of market rate rents, and we found that rents are generally very affordable to the households on Long Island, although not 100% affordable to the town's existing workforce and residential populations, which the town does have a lower median income than the county and Long Island overall. So just to walk you through the memo a little bit, we provided some existing conditions in terms of population and trends, and we inventoried, as I said, the income restricted units. We also included here garden apartments and mobile homes for rent. So in other words, housing that's generally considered to be affordable in the town. We recognize that there's other types of housing in the town that may be considered affordable as well, but that we didn't necessarily count toward the future goals of providing new quality affordable housing. So again, this is informational. We provided a table 3, the table of all the developments existing or proposed in the DC1. As you can see, we're now over the 500 unit cap, with ones all existing and proposed are taken into account there. We also inventoried additional housing. This table 4 is on additional income restricted housing in the town outside of the DC1. Again, all located within downtown Riverhead and Riverhead Hamlet. And then we took a look at median income As I mentioned, the town is about 72% of the county area income. And we took a look at gross rents in the town. Again, we found that they're very affordable to the average household on Long Island, using the benchmark of 130% household income from the Long Island Workforce Housing Act. But again, not all the rents are affordable to the town's existing resident and workforce population. We also took a look at the market rate listings and proposed affordable units. Again, this is just income restricted affordable units that are proposed that we're aware of, these 204 units. Also in the downtown area.
Isn't that one?
And then finally, we
Sorry.
Sorry?
Isn't the 170 market rate units that you also had on the DC1 summary? Like, isn't that incorrect?
I guess there was documentation that suggested that these were likely going to be affordable. So I don't know if that's not correct, and I knew that's news to me. If they're known a market rate, the intent was to only include income restricted here. So if those are now market rate, then we wouldn't include those. So it sounds like you need to check on the 170. You're saying our market rate.
Well, if you look at your table on page 3 under your 170, you have it as market rate.
Let's say table 3. Table 3. We have it as market rate. Let me check that. It could be a different development that we're talking about.
Which one do you have as 170? Which development on table 3?
It's the Metro Group one.
Oh, here we're talking about 203, 213. And now ours is.
Yeah, that is supposed to be market. That building will be market.
Okay.
It's down to.
If you look, hi, this is Connie. If you look at, if I can just say, if you look at on page 3, the affordable are probably about 180, not including the 170 market that you're talking about.
She's in the proposed. That table was proposed, not existent.
Right.
No, if you just add the ones that are already there, if you take Summerwin, Woolworth, Peconic, some of Riverview, you're really coming up to, I think, 7, 8. You're coming up to about that.
All right, Connie, if one thing that would be helpful, just mark up a copy or send me your comments, then we'll pass it along and we'll update the table.
So I think I'm agreeing with Ike, though. 203, 213 East Main Street's listed as market on table 3, and then you're showing as project. It's showing as 170. So another thing too, we have that down to 158, I think now. So it won't be 170.
Yeah, Lorianne, things are in play with 203 Main Street, so that number will be, we'll give you the updated number.
Yeah, let me double check, because I am surprised that that it was the same development we're talking about. But if that's the case, then it was an error. We may have had some preliminary information that it may have. I think this is an EIS listed here that said it may be affordable, it may not be. So yeah, we'll double check it sounds like if that one's gonna be market rate, then yes, those would go away. Those we wouldn't count. And the intention was to just include income restricted.
So also in proposed, we probably should consider, well, it's gonna be market also. The COD project. So that's gonna be market also, and we don't know the number of units, but it could potentially be around 200 maybe, is what I'm thinking. We'll see more when that starts to get a little closer to reality, which would be in the next couple of weeks. But I just also would just comment on this. I think these like synopses type things are incredibly useful. It's really more strategic for us. I just think this little snapshot gave us in our department really good heads up on a couple of things, and it gives us the backup we need. So like, for instance, we have new CCF legislation that's directed at collecting funding for affordable housing. So in Riverhead, you know, the East End towns other than Riverhead have been, I don't want to say it in a really derogatory way, but probably pretty irresponsible about providing affordable housing for their communities. But that's not Riverhead at all. We've always been very responsible about affording, you know, providing those things. So we were able to go into that legislation and say, look, you know, you people have done what you've done and you're, you know, dragging us along here, but what we're going to do is use the money in a different way. We don't need to build more affordable housing. We're going to use it for first-time home buyer equity positions. That's really what we need here. Secondly, it helps us with grant funding. Third, it helps us with marketing and talking to developers, because we can say, look, don't come with affordable because we are already saturated. And then it also provides us that leverage. We need to look for equity ownership solutions for our, and also it reminds everyone that we need economic diversity. So those are the things that we get out of that little snapshot. And I think that's useful. I'd like to see more of that type of thing, those little pocket synopsis things.
That's kind of what I alluded to at the beginning of the meeting. It's this very simple report yields a lot of discussion. And I think it's a very positive document. And again, it's still only a draft, but this is sort of the thing that you're going to be seeing more in the future as we start diving into the other subjects of the comprehensive plan, such as the farmland guaranteed. That's going to be a hot topic issue. The economic development, especially along Route 58, redevelopment of the corridors, can be a huge part of it. Our industrial areas in Wading River is going to be a very hot topic especially with our sustainability element. So again, this is just one subject area. It's a really important one. I don't want to get off topic with the other ones.
I just want to say one more thing too. I think, like, from our point of view, it gives us an opportunity to really prove ourselves. And I think I just lost my train of thought a little, so I apologize. It's been a busy day, but
just how diverse of a community we are.
Well, it's not only that. I think it's like the parking study. It's the strategic parking plan. It dispels misinformation. That's
right.
Really what I wanted to say. People are like, we need this, we need this, we need this, and it just becomes a mantra. And when you can whip out a 4-page document and say, no, you don't really need this. This is really what we need. That's helpful. That's helpful. Yeah, it's a reality check.
Connie, I know that you are our housing liaison on the committee. Did you have any comments about the report?
Yeah, I do, Jeff. I've looked at it and I think I agree with you. It's a great start, but I think there's a lot more that we have to look at. And, you know, I've said this for years now. There's a lot of tiers to affordable housing. And I think we use the word affordable too loosely. Do I think Riverhead has their fair share of low income? Absolutely. If you look at the report, I would even take something out of what you're saying is affordable. I would say you almost have 700 units of low income. because you've got very low income, which is usually your 30%. You've got low income, which is normally 50, and then your moderate goes anywhere from 60% up to 130% of this is of the, you know, the AMI. And that's where I think we have to concentrate. I can tell you in Riverview Lofts, we have an extensive waiting list for the upper end rents, which if you look at what Southampton put out, those incomes are significant. You go anywhere from 71,000 up to 116,000. The average person, you know, working person in Riverhead is not necessarily making that kind of money. But I also have to caution that, you know, when we do these apartments or first-time home buyers, it's not just available to Riverhead residents like we would like it to be, because you cannot do preference or you're going to have fair housing all over you. I think with first-time home buyers, I've talked to Dawn about it. I'm absolutely for it. When I was in Nassau County, I was very aggressively in favor of it. We did a lot of first-time home buyers, but there's a lot of components that go with that. There's housing counseling. It's not just a matter of giving a family down payment assistance. There's money for developers. And there again, you have to go out to a lottery. So it's not necessarily just Riverhead residents. And I can tell you that even happened in Riverview Loft. We went to the lottery. We were fortunate. We got quite a few people that were Riverhead residents, but there was a lot that's not. So, you know, the report, I think a lot of the figures that were used are going back to 2019, which I think we need to be careful if we're going to be projecting. I mean, the AMI right now is up to almost 130,000 for Nassau Suffolk. We know it's not that in Riverhead, but even if we take 20% of that, it's still, you know, a little bit higher. And the new fair markets are also out for 2022. So I just think we have to, you know, sit down and really, you know, present accurate information on where we're going forward and just what we need. I can tell you from my experience, we need housing for our workforce. You know, there's an awful lot of residents right now that are at the $70,000, and you know, rents are not cheap. And I think we have to look at what the actual rents are. To give you an example, a 2-bedroom on the upper end at Riverview is $2,438. That's not a cheap rent. You know, there's a lot of families or individuals that can't afford even the 1-bedroom at $1,900. So I just want to be careful that we're presenting it properly. And, you know, fair share is important. Do I think Southold and other communities need to do their share? Yeah, they do. And, you know, let's face it, you know, we're the 4th highest housing wage in the United States. That's the state of New York. And for us in Nassau and Suffolk, you're looking at $34 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom. You'd have to work 109 hours to afford that. So let's not push our young out. Many of us, you have young kids, and I'm sure you want them to stay in Riverhead. So I think we have to be very conscious and very careful that we look at the picture moving forward, not just what it is right now. So basically, that's, you know, really what I've downloaded, all the information that you know, you guys have pulled together, and you know, some of it's accurate, some of it I question, but I think there's a lot of other information out there that we have to look to. And you know, I've worked with a few people on this committee, Mitch Pally in particular, and you know, we both have always said, you know, we've got to take care of our workforce or we're in trouble. So that's about all I got for now, Jeff.
Great. Mitch, yeah, dovetail right into you. Mitch, what are your...
I was just going to say, I agree with 100% of what Connie just said. 100%. You cannot define affordable housing by 130% of the Long Island Workforce Housing Act. There are a variety of ways in which you need to do so on an income distribution level. Those levels are much lower than the 130%. The 130% was never designed to be a definition of affordable. It was a political definition put into a statute. So we need to determine, 60%, 80%, 100%, and any places you can use actual numbers rather than percentage would be very helpful, because that gives people who are reading the report a much better understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. So in addition to that, as I said, I agree with 100% of what Connie just said.
Is Andy Mitchell still on the phone with us?
I am, Jeff.
You're one of our largest employers in the town. What are your housing needs next 5, 10, 15 years?
So we have a broad mix of economic levels in the organization. Certainly, the need for affordable housing is there for our service workers, and reasonably affordable is there for the nursing staff, etc. As the North Fork in particular has become kind of priced out of affordable range, it is for the first time becoming an issue for the medical center.
And I would suggest we might even use numbers from the medical center, from the school district, at different job classifications. What's the salary there, and how does that impact affordable housing opportunities in the town? Use real numbers and real people. You might not be able to identify the real person, but you can identify the category of people. And are they able, how many apartments are available for them at that salary number in the town? That would be very important information.
Yeah, we could certainly provide that. We can also probably do a zip code run if it's permissible. I will tell you that most of the service workers are living outside of the Riverhead Southold area at this point. They can't afford to live in this area.
Yep.
Oh. Okay. Ike Israel, you there?
Hey, Jeff.
Hey. As kind of one of our leading realtors in the town, where do you see as the housing market change? Where do you think it's headed?
Well, obviously we're absorbing, we don't have supply, and that's what's increased prices. I mean, I had the table 6, the gross rents, and I'm like, this says that there's 129 units where people are paying less than $300 a month. I don't even understand what that is, but the demand is obviously there. I think Connie's development, the Riverview Loft, shows that that place was rented up in less than 60 days. We absorbed 120 units in our town. I think that, I think as a town, everyone keeps echoing, we want to see market rate housing, and the market, I think, is there. And I think since we have the sewer, we could absorb the capacity of it. And, I guess when I look at, when I looked at some of the units in this table, I mean, there's a good portion of the affordable units in table 4, that are senior apartments, which I don't know what the percentage is of, senior population in our community, but it seemed like a large percentage of those were compared to downtown. The ones that are outside of downtown Riverhead, I guess, is what table 4 is. But regarding the demand, there's a huge demand, and I believe that as home prices, I mean, if you look around, I mean, a house on in downtown Riverhead, they're selling for better than $450,000. So economically, that as prices stay high, which is partly because of mortgage rates, partly because of the influx of people and what's happened points east of here. We don't have the housing stock. We've first been creating it, and we're still not, here we're looking at the housing stock, but look around at our master plan and look at all the different zones that allow apartments, and really, besides for the DC1 district, there is no apartments being created. You know, if we looked at, and you know, to me, I guess when we still talk about this whole, you know, what are we trying to accomplish here? You know, I guess I always say, okay, since we changed everything in, you know, in 2003, what has been successful? And we've talked about this before, like we have this CRC zoning district, which allows townhomes and garden style apartments, and there hasn't been any projects in that zone. So, you know, we have everything going in DC1, you know, which has had its benefits of not providing parking, which we're starting to change. And obviously, you know, has the benefits of having, you know, great amenities in downtown. And I think it is important to have apartments in DC1 and continue to have apartments in DC1. But if you look around in some of the other zoning districts, Village Center, Hamlet Center, no one's built apartments there except for the ones that are on Pulaski and Osborne that are going up right now, which are, I don't know if there's 6 or 8 units there. So I think the demand is there. I mean, my only other question when I first read this, you know, I realized that this was the affordable housing analysis, but it's really the rental affordable housing analysis. It doesn't, you know, we haven't had affordable ownership opportunities in the town in a while.
Right.
And, you know, some people say, well, Riverhead's fairly affordable compared to its other town, you know, points east. Obviously, that's true. But, you know, I'm selling 1960s housing stock for $450,000 to $500,000, you know, on places like Ostrander Avenue, Elton Street, stuff like that. So I think part of it's preparing for the future, like besides for whatever's going on today.
Are those sales like to owner occupied situations, or are they going to be future rentals? One of the things that we've been talking about is just like Airbnb has created its own market in other communities in some areas of ours, like some of the rentals, the single family dwelling rentals that are being sublet, you know, also skews that market. So if you can put, you know, a few people into a house and charge them each $1,000, then all of a sudden, you know, you're getting $5,000 or $6,000 a month for a small, fairly small single family dwelling where people are, you know, willing to live close together and you know, operate as a single housekeeping unit, but paying a lot per person. So that's an important thing I think we have to talk about in this plan, is how that's a code enforcement issue, but it's also an important thing for those single family dwelling units where we see a younger family or, you know, a young couple buy a house. So that's why I think some of our CPF money can go to that first time home buyer. And then that way we can ensure they're owner occupied. But I think we do have to talk about the reality there of how that is messing up the market.
Yeah, I don't think within the hamlet of Riverhead, there's probably too much of that going on. Maybe in Aquabog or Jamesport or South Jamesport or Wading River, the STRs, you know, I had brought it up at the meeting, like I kind of think that we should consider allowing shorter than the 28 days in, I think, in downtown Riverhead, because, you know, to answer your question, Dawn, absolutely. It's in places like Greenport where most of my work is, you know, the year-round apartments. I just re-rented a 3-bedroom year-round apartment in Greenport for $3,500 a month. And it's like crazy, but otherwise the person could put it on Airbnb and they would probably make double that in a year. So it's definitely made it more competitive, but I don't think, I see it going crazy on the North Fork, you know, because basically it turns every house to be, the economics of it make every house worth $800,000. And you know, with the pandemic and everyone buying second homes, it actually, prices actually even increased on the Airbnb rentals because people were taking those houses off the market or renting them for exorbitant sums of money.
So I was really only talking about like single family houses up and down Roanoke Avenue. Those could be rented by a landlord to multiple different people, even if it's year round, but instead of charging one rent like a normal rent, like you said, like it says $3,500 a month for the house. You know, if you have 5 or 6 people in that house here, they each pay $1,000 a month. You've again viewed that market in a different way, but it's the same problem.
Right. Right. I mean, and that's, I mean, Roanoke Avenue is a whole nother thing. It's this PB zoning district where if you look around, Roanoke Avenue is not doing great commercially, if that's something we want because, you know, most of the users are either, you know, the office type users have, you know, have whole buildings on Roanoke Avenue that had therapists in it, and now they all Zoom. They're not renting space really anymore as users. And medically, you know, the doctors are getting absorbed by larger healthcare systems, and they're becoming employees. So we've been losing those doctors, and we've been losing the commercial uses on Roanoke Avenue, whether that's important or not. But you know, Roanoke Avenue, that zone doesn't allow apartments above the commercial offices. I think it specifically, you know, says it's not allowed. But, you know, that's something else that I think, you know, could be changed to create some housing as well, you know, that isn't directly in the DC1 district.
Even some owner occupied like that downtown, like owner occupied single family dwelling with accessory apartment, you know, some incentive to do that would be helpful to a first time home buyer looking to get into an equity position.
Yeah, and if you look at the other DC districts, it's very confusing. You know, some allow 2-family, some don't allow 2-family, some, you know, the DC3 doesn't allow apartments. So I do think that, you know, needs to be looked at, and maybe it should be more consistent. I don't know the method of why, you know, why it was so variable in between those different zones and the way they are, you know, in the 2nd Street corridor.
Yeah, that is an eclectic area.
But I think you could do good things with it.
Absolutely. I think some housing rehabilitation money towards that area and to look at rezoning, I think will help.
Well, some 2-family opportunities or, you know, stuff like that.
Yep.
Would be good because I think people might like to live downtown and be able to walk from your house in a little bit of a more urban setting.
Do we have any information on how many accessory apartments have been created?
I think the number is 500, Lorianne. 538, I thought I saw.
We have 500, but that's not necessarily the most up-to-date number. That we borrowed that from a prior analysis. So that's the best information we have right now is 500, but it's not necessarily the current.
Are those legal units, or that's just a guess? We don't know where the number came from.
But it came from the town's prior analysis from 2007. I believe the intent was those are legal units.
When did we allow, Jeff, do you know when we allowed accessory apartments?
Bob, do you know? I'm posing the question to Bob.
Maybe 04, 05, maybe somewhere. It was the middle of last decade. I think it came after the comp plan. We'd have to do a little research. We can get online. We can give you that date. You hang on for a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Who else is on? Sid, you're being awfully quiet.
Oh, the question, the changes to the 2% real estate tax plan. What is it called?
CPF.
Yeah, the CPF, where they're talking about 0.5% can be used for funding affordable housing. And they're talking about the governor, apparently our new governor, signed the bill, and there has to be a referendum, a local referendum to participate in this, I guess. And you have to develop a community housing plan.
Yes.
Does Riverhead been talking about this yet?
Yes.
So, Sid, I think as we were kind of like alluding to, this actual draft study helped us work through our position on that legislation, which, you know, we are probably the least, we accumulate the least amount of CPF, but I think because we need to get people, we have a sufficient stock of affordable and enough in the pipeline that our objective is going to be to put people into equity positions. So we would want to do first-time home buyer assistance and potentially fund, you know, accessory units in owner-occupied single-family residences to get people, you know, we have to move people, we have to have a bridge between that affordable apartment or to a market rate apartment to an equity position to get into a single-family residence at some point, because there's no jump there now. It's a blank space. And young people have no way that you can't come out of college or even grad school and afford a $500,000 house with probably median or lower than median cost right now. And
I agree with you, Dawn, because I know my son had taken advantage of the program that Suffolk County has had, where you the first-time home buyers.
If we can supplement that and make it a no-interest loan, that way we can continue the fund. We don't just deplete it. You know, we just keep adding back to it, and continue to help those that income range or that age group.
Thank you.
No problem.
Honey, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, I do. I do, Jeff. You know, going back to the first-time home buyer, you know, it's difficult because the homes are going probably for the cheapest you're going to get is $430 maybe, and having gone through that in Nassau, you know, and some of the areas were very costly, but even those that weren't, they were still going for, you know, this is a while ago, but even 375, 400. We kind of switched our gears and we started doing first-time home buyers and allowed them to do two-family houses because they've got the equity and they're able to afford it because they've got a rental attached to it. And that became very successful. You don't have to have it a lot, but it will open the doors for first-time home buyers by allowing them to have a rental at the same time. And, you know, we put in there that they had to keep it affordable for, I want to say it was either 10 or 15 years. And if they sold it, it had to be sold as affordable housing. So they couldn't, you know, just all of a sudden buy a two-family house at say 450. And then 3 years from now, the market grows and they sell it for 8. They weren't allowed to do that. So we might want to think about doing some kind of zoning for two-family houses where it has to be owner occupied. And it helps not only for our first-time home buyers, but it also increases the stock of rental units.
Yep, good idea.
Okay, who else hasn't said anything that would like to weigh in?
This is Rob Carpenter. Can I speak?
Absolutely.
So I'd like to comment about a few things that Connie said, as well as I believe Sid's CPF fund. From an agricultural perspective, we recognize that we need farmland preservation and we need the farm community here. I read through all of the comments from the local meetings, and what I saw was farmland preservation, and it's great to preserve the land. But we also need to preserve the economics of the farmers, because without the farmers farming, all you've got is empty space. With that being said, housing is a key component of the needs of the Riverhead farmers, both for the farm workers, but we also have a class of, like the hospital, a class of people such as winemakers, tasting room employees, truckers, shipping people, growers, and others that fall within different economic scales. And when we look at the housing issue in Riverhead, how are we helping to allow our Riverhead farmers to have access for housing for their workers? So ag should be a key component of that request and that study, because I think there's definitely a need for housing for farmers. In addition to the fact that some of our farmers, or more of them, as labor has tightened up, are using foreign programs such as the H-2A program, the J-1 visa program for people coming over to study here, and that should also be taken into consideration as we redevelop the master plan. I'd like to ask a question also about the CPF fund, because I've been working with Fred Thiel on this, and I know the town has started talking about this discussion about the referendum. Has a formal plan actually been developed yet? Because I think the ag community would also like to weigh in on that plan, as we have a few ideas and a few thoughts about how it could be used to help agriculture. I'll just put it out there for now, and we can follow up on this later.
Okay, great idea. No, we have not developed a plan yet.
Okay, thank you. That was pretty much all I had to say for the moment.
My eyesight's not that great. Does anybody else have their hand up? Mark Hobner, you haven't weighed in yet. Oh, Mitch, is that Mitch Pally? Mitch?
I said my piece, but I think, you know, with what Robbie just said, it's important then to have his income numbers for his agricultural workers to then see how that fits into the housing stock, because you need to have income numbers to see what is or is not affordable. Just like with the nurses and the teachers and the police and everybody else, you know, what's affordable at those levels.
Okay. Mark, I can't see people's faces up that far away. So Mark, is that you with your hand up?
No, it's not, but just generally, I think having an inventory of the workforce at large, especially with our larger employers, was great suggestion. Connie, and being creative about two-family homes without being able to flip them in 3 years or whatever have you for contribution to that. 6-unit apartments above areas that are no longer serving what we have been expecting, as Ike mentioned, up on Roanoke Avenue. I mean, the creativity has to happen. I think this is probably the right forum for that. Thanks.
Great idea. Anybody else with their hand up? I apologize. I cannot see faces this far away on the screen, so I apologize.
Yeah, Jeff, it's Andy Mitchell. Well, one more element of affordable that is pretty much an outgrowth of previous policy that incentivized 55 and older condominium cluster housing in the town, and that is the issue of assisted living, and specifically, given the population that lives in Riverhead, affordable assisted. Very difficult and complicated issue on the healthcare side.
I have a relative that's been diagnosed with dementia, and we're trying to find a place for her, so I understand that all too well on Long Island. You actually touched on another issue, Andy, and that is, that goes back to my initial comment about, in order to know where you're going, you need to know where you are. And I know we've got some draft numbers. We have not circulated them with the committee yet on our demographics, our existing 2020 based upon the U.S. Census, and also the projections going forward. I think we need to have those numbers in order to know where we're going to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So as soon as those are available from the consultant, we'll circulate those numbers to all of you. The second comment I have is just more of a point of interest. and I read an article earlier this year, is that, I think it was this year, or it may have been last year, I apologize, but first time in history since the 50s, the baby boomers are no longer the largest single population group in the country any longer. It's been that way for eons, and for the first time, we have been supplanted by the younger generation. So that's, I won't speak to everybody at the table, but it certainly speaks to me. And I know that Andy, in the hospital, the demographic information is absolutely critical to what your needs are going to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So if you have numbers on that, if you could share them with us, that'd be helpful. And whatever numbers we have, we'll share those with you as well. It also goes to the school district, all the social programs. It touches every facet of our lives. So those demographic numbers are absolutely critical to a lot of what we're doing here and today.
Indeed. Just to comment on that, when you look at the payer categories, normally we differentiate between government payers, largely because they barely cover the cost of care, and then commercial insurance. In the entire Northwell system of 21 hospitals, Peconic has the highest amount of government payers, largely driven by the volume of Medicare that we serve on the North Fork. There's very little commercial left. Those people are not living in the town.
Can I jump in real quick? I'd forgotten to mention, are we, I'm looking at the group here, and one of our social norms and one of our value sets is single home ownership. And my question is, with the change of ride sharing, is that a portent of the future for home sharing? Is it the norm that's going to continue for 15 or 20 years? I don't know. I'm asking, I don't know. Somebody's got to have done the studies that maybe the social norm is changing and that single home ownership may not be the value set of the group coming up, of the young people coming up. Just throwing it out.
Well, now you're touching on the younger generation now. They're coming out of college with their student loan debt, and now they're going to be asked to, accept a mortgage payment on top of that. That's hard to do on Long Island.
Well, let's make pretend that the student debt went away. Is the social norm still driving towards single home ownership, or is it a younger subset of the population that's going to want to move more frequently, who's not going to want to be tied to a home, who's going to want to change jobs regionally more nimbly than if they had a home to think about?
Or they don't need to live where they work because we've proven telecommuting, remote work.
Those are kind of interesting questions that I don't know if we'll get complete answers, but we're going to be fleshed out during the course of this process. I don't think we have the answers today. Good questions, though.
Thank you.
Anybody else with their hand up?
Can I ask a question? Rob Carpenter was talking about the concerns of the farming community. And, obviously that's going to be a very large consideration. But one of the things that I was thinking about, does the town or the Farm Bureau have any figures that compares, we were talking about the comp plan in 2003, the number of farmers in 2003 compared with the number of farmers today? Because like one thing that was talked about quite a bit in 2003, I remember, was that there had to be a certain number to keep farming viable. Are farm operations increasing, decreasing? If so, by how much?
I'm going to chime in because it's a topic that's always near and dear to me. It's Bob Koskevich. I'm not necessarily sure that the number of farmers is critical to the end line as opposed to the acreage, because what I see is some farmers who are gobbling up other land. So especially one who has, bought a lot of property in the on the North Fork, and
Right, right.
tremendous amount of land has been purchased by that particular individual, and I see also certain other growers who are buying more property, and so the agricultural industry is continuing, but I think the number of farm families may be decreased, but the acreage is still in active production.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Well, the crop, potatoes are great.
Potatoes are great, potatoes are odd, you know?
It's on to other types of grass.
Yeah, yeah. That's just my observation, but and again, tying it into housing, I think that certain of the farmers who have taken on more, they have a greater demand for labor, and they're looking to find housing opportunities wherever they can.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. This is Rob Carpenter. I think you hit the nail pretty well right on the head in the dead center. I would say that in 2002, if I remember, it was talk about the acreage and needing a certain amount of acreage and production to keep our equipment dealers and our seed suppliers and so on and so forth. And what I see is agriculture here has remained fairly strong. We've lost a little bit of acreage to development, but the push on to preserve land is still going strong. And operations are actually evolving and changing to different things more than the traditional potatoes and cabbage and cauliflower. And I think recognition of that is also important in the master plan, to recognize that agriculture in the 50s and 60s in Riverhead is completely different today. And then the question needs to be asked, where is it going for the next 25 years, maybe before we do another update of the plan? And how do we encourage agriculture for all of these reasons that we want, for open space, for scenic vistas, for economic development? How does the town encourage this type of planning and what the farmers will need going forward? Great thought process and great conversations. I look forward to it.
So do I.
All right, it's past 3:30 now. Does anybody have any last comments about the analysis? Again, this is just an initial draft. Great document for this discussion. It's obviously going to be further analyzed and embellished upon throughout the process. A lot of good comments today that need to be further vetted. I'm going to give everybody one last chance, and then otherwise, I think we've reached our end of the meeting.
All right. Just one observation on the accessory apartments. Just did a quick search. It was a little later in the process than I thought. It was 2008, February, when the legislation was added to Chapter 108 at that time. And when it was recodified, it was put into, I think, 105, which is boards, commissions, and councils. So it's a little hard to find because it's not under the zoning and land use section anymore.
All right. If anybody has any questions, feel free to give me a call. Otherwise, if you haven't already, please take the community survey. Make yourself available to use the interactive map. If you have comments about the comp plan, put them online. All these comments will be further evaluated. And thank you for attending today's meeting.
When's the next meeting?
All right, thanks, everybody.
When's the next one? What do you want to do next?
It's going to be after the last of the five topic meetings, which will be, I'm still getting through November, trying to find the dates. So as soon as I get those dates, then I'll circulate one of the polling tools and find out, give you guys a kind of a 3 more dates. It'll probably be towards the end of November, beginning of December for the next. I want to get to these next 5 topic meetings so before we convene again.
Jeff, can I get an idea of who's on those subcommittees on the topic group roster, if you will?
Absolutely. Just email me, remind me, and then I'll send it to everybody.
Thank you. Will do.
those committees are pretty lengthy, like the one for agriculture or the environment, I forget which one, it's got like 15 to 20 people on it, so.
Excellent, thank you.
We covered everybody I can think of, and arm twisted a few people. They don't know they're on it yet, but.
You voluntold them?
I haven't told them yet.
Well, you voluntold.
Yes. I may need your help in twisting some arms.
I'm here.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
All right, take care.